ma'am. And they're saying they do. Now let's look at the formative and summative assessments, right? Which is more important for guiding a child's learning in the foundational years, the formative or the summative? Now here you will have to type a word. Absolutely, the formative assessments are, of course, more important. Okay, and this goes without saying, Pooja ma'am, I don't think I should have even asked this question. The next one, assessments are more effective when they're supported with feedback. Yes or no? We are all on the same page. That's wonderful. And I love the way how fast your answers are coming. Okay, the next one, assessment should focus solely on memorization and recall of facts, not problem solving skills. Absolutely not. They say no, it should not, which means that it is problem solving skills, right? Now, how to take this up effectively, how to develop problem solving skills is what Pooja ma'am is going to take us through today and tomorrow in great detail. So just hold on tight. And the final question, when assessing young children, should we focus on their progress in all areas of development and not just academics? They're saying we should focus on all areas. Wonderful. Yes, on all areas. So yesterday we were talking about integrating PSED. Pooja ma'am talked about how all of that was very important when we were doing the assessment, keeping in mind the learning outcomes. You know, there are many other domains also which are very important. Yes, Pooja ma'am, isn't that so? Would you want to add something here?
Certainly, and unless and until we are mindful of personal, social, and emotional development, we can't call our assessments to be authentic, but we will take our practitioners through this process where they can seamlessly integrate these components, aspects in their assessments, and they can make it an integral part of their teaching learning process.
Right, ma'am. So I think, now that we have an overview and we know that we are all on the same page, we understand what assessments are and exactly how we can be giving effective assessments and feedback, right? Let's just give them a little bit of time to internalize what we've just gone through very quickly, and give them a little light-hearted, moment. So we all know that laughter is the best medicine. You'll all agree, participants, right? But did you also know that it is a fantastic tool for assessment? It's a learning tool. It's a fantastic learning tool. Absolutely. So everybody likes a good laugh over here, and it can really lighten our mood and boost engagement in the classroom. And in fact, it can even help us remember, ma'am, the Amar Akbar Anthony from yesterday. I am sure. All right. So before we go on, I'll just share a joke with you, right? Are you all ready? Okay. So the story goes that a teacher was observing a young child playing with blocks in her classroom. So kindergartner playing with blocks. And what the child would do is carefully stack all the blocks and then knock them over. And then he would be really happy. He would really celebrate. So the teacher, with her assessment register clipboard in hand, she made a note, anecdotal record, which said demonstrates destructive tendencies, lacks focus. Okay, that's what she wrote. Later, when she was going through it, she laughed at herself and she said, maybe he just likes the sound of crashing blocks. I guess even assessments need a dose of common sense, ma'am.
Certainly. So, this is something, something like this happens in a classroom when perhaps we do not know where we are going. All right, what are we assessing our children for? And perhaps are we being mindful of personal, social, emotional development goals? Perhaps, the child is trying to observe how tall the tower can go before it falls down and how much force is required to knock it off. So there could be so many questions going on in a
Just
child.
to see how far it goes when he hits it, right?
Yeah, definitely. But it is so difficult for a teacher to imagine all these learning outcomes, but it is very easy for the teacher to quickly refer to the goals and try to channelize the energy of the child and try to bring him or her around the goal which is closest to what she has outlined in her classroom goals, right? So bringing your attention to the aspect of backward design, whatever the child is doing, if you are being mindful of the goals, then perhaps any sort of engagement or interaction or so-called destructive tendency of a child can be channelized towards a positive and constructive goal, right? And also, we should look for evidence, and had the teacher given the right feedback and helped the child introspect and reflect, perhaps the child would have been able to make some relevant connection with what he or she was doing. So today we are going to talk about the relevance of right kind of feedback. And you always remember, when we talk about backward design, it draws our focus to learning outcome. It draws our focus to the purpose of the assessment. It draws our focus to the intentional instruction. What is our intention? All right. And it fosters student engagement and it brings in flexibility. Though the teacher might not have been prepared for this kind of episode, had she been prepared with the learning goals, she would have been flexible enough to help the child reach a certain goal, right? And continuous improvement. Each one of us needs feedback to continuously keep improving. Leave aside children, right? Each one of us requires consistent feedback, right? So, can we quickly refresh our 3 trio friends, Surya?
Yes, I think it's time, ma'am, for them to meet the great trio again. And do you remember who they are? Who this trio is? Everybody. LO, WSM, and ER, right? And whom did we liken it to? Our Amar?
Okay.
I can see, ma'am. Yes, absolutely. So we can say, because we do this in a lot of detail, right? Educators and participants here, we can say that the learning goals are like the guiding stars. They give us the bigger picture. They help us understand what needs to be assessed, right? Similarly, the WSM or our teaching learning practices, right? They're like the toolbox. So you have all the various ways, in which you can address the learners, in which you can engage them, right? The differentiated ways. And of course, then we have our ER, the educator's record, where you put down, you understand exactly how you are assessing your learners. Right, ma'am? So I think together they create a powerful cycle of continuous improvement.
Right. So that was one connection that we established yesterday. And this is today what we are showing, on the slide is yet another connection, that it is learning outcomes are like your telescopic view, your focus, and your teaching learning practices are your toolbox, and assessment is like, you have to actually gain an insight.
And you said, where's the learning?
Yeah, we'll have to, look for measurable, and tangible evidence for learn, right? So can we move ahead? So moving on, yesterday we took up the example of, the child being able to read in complete sentences. So today we show you yet another real life, broadcast of an assessment being done in a kindergarten classroom. So the goal is that the child is able to read 3-letter words or the CVC words. Okay, so here we go.
Okay, Sammy, so I have a task for you. I'll show you a card and you have to tell me, what do you see?
It's a bat.
It's a bat. Wonderful. Okay, so now that we know we have a bat, can you tell me, what is this?
It's a phone.
It's a phone, okay. And you know the screens that are slightly bigger? Another electronic gadget that has a bigger
tab.
screen, a tab.
So can you stop? Now there is a question for each one of us. When, Surya as a practitioner was not able to respond what that picture looked like, what is the first response that comes to our mind as a practitioner? We are ready with the answer. we do not ask yet another question or give a cue or a clue to the child so that he finds or she finds her own answer, right? So that's the first error that we do in the assessment. When we talk about formative assessment, it's very, very important to steer the child through the process by asking relevant questions, asking leading questions to help the child arrive at a particular response. So we watch ahead.
Wonderful. So does bat and a tab have the same sound?
No.
No. So you can show me a red light or a thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
Okay. Now what do we have next? What is this?
It's a hat.
It's a hat. So does a bat have the same ending sound as hat?
Yes.
Yes. Wonderful. So now you've made a
Partner.
pair or a partner. So now you can show me green light if you have understood, and you can look for more partners. Okay, great.
So Surya, can you stop? Yeah. So when we talk about formative assessment, in the second situation, Surya was able to make meaningful connections and could respond very well. So maybe Surya doesn't need scaffolding, and perhaps you could have assessed Surya while implementing the WSM. You don't have to do one-on-one with Surya, right? So you could have assessed him. And why did we focus on non-verbal, responses? Because if there are 5 to 6 learners or the entire class, then perhaps you can resort to non-verbal kinesthetic responses to ensure that children have understood, because it may not be possible for you to reach out to every child and ask questions, right? So now we move ahead.
So Sammy, now can you pick up another card? Okay, and what do you see in this card?
It's a girl.
It's a girl, and how is she feeling?
She's sad.
She is sad. So can you look for another partner? Okay, and what is this?
A cab.
A cab. And okay, so let's break it down. You can keep them down and tell me. So this girl is sad. So sad. Sad.
Sad. Sad.
Wonderful. And what is this? A
Cab.
cab. So k-a-b.
B. Cab.
So b and d, are they the same?
No, ma'am.
No. So can you look for the partner now?
Yay.
What is this?
Lad.
Lad. Yes. So
D.
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 Wonderful. You can give me a high five.
All right. When Surya, was not able to match, so what could Anuba do differently? She could have grabbed the cards and told him that these are the right words. Instead, what did she do? She encouraged Surya to put the cards, and then she asked further questions, which served as a cue. And also, self-assessment was happening side by side because Anuba asked Surya to show red light, yellow light, or green light. So self-assessment was happening side by side. So these are some of the tools which help the child self-assess himself or herself, right? So we move ahead. So, okay, yesterday we had a macroscopic view of a particular grade. Today, what you see in front of you is a macroscopic view of foundational stage. 80% of you did mention in your registration that you face challenge with differentiated assessment, differentiated instruction, or when you have a child who needs additional scaffolding. So now, unless and until you internalize what you see in front of you, you will never be equipped to deal with differentiated instruction. Why? Because when you're talking about differentiated instruction, there will be 3 groups of learners in your class. Group 1, who are doing extremely well, they pick up the concepts, they respond, and they demonstrate their understanding really fast. They are advanced or proficient learners. Then there would be learners who are developing, exploring, finding their path, right? And then there will be learners, perhaps, who are emerging. They need a lot of scaffolding, right? So as I told you yesterday, that NNLP2 is the entry point, level playing field where you need to process, because children are coming from diversified background. During spade work, we did share with you that children come from families, which are first generation, where we have first generation learners, and perhaps children have not been used to, not exposed to these kind of, learning practices or learning environments. But at the same time, grade 2 is the exit class, right? So you may miss the bus if you are not doing enough in the previous age, grades, right? So when we talk about stage appropriateness, according to the pedagogical structure of NEP, when you are taking a particular concept, you need to understand what's happening in NNLP3 and what is it that the child is expected to do in grade 1. If you have a child, Surya, when he was able to read 3-letter words very, very confidently, then perhaps he was looking for some more challenge, but we were not ready for it, because we perhaps were not aware what is expected of Surya when he goes to grade 1. What are the goals of grade 1? Perhaps I would have taken this as an opportunity to throw a higher challenge to Surya, right? So I missed
ma'am,
that
I
opportunity.
want to add something here, ma'am. A lot of the responses that we had received, they were asking about how to scaffold children who were not yet there, but there were very few questions about how to keep the others engaged.
Right. So when we talk about differentiated learning, we need to be mindful of learners on both the sides of the spectrum. So we are taking care of those learners who need additional scaffolding. How about those learners who tend to lose focus? They get distracted and it's difficult for us to contain them. So is their challenge academic, or is their challenge that we are not giving them enough food for thought? We are not, asking those questions where they feel thrilled, engaged to respond. So when we talk about differentiated instruction, we need to talk about, children on both these sides of the spectrum. For example, in NNLP4, there could be children who are still struggling with coding and decoding, breaking it into, sounds. At the same time, we could have children who are ready to read sentences, ready to read short paragraph. How are we managing that kind of imbalance is the, skill of a very, very, trained professional. And this is why we face challenges in a classroom where we are not able to strike a balance. Now, let's see. This is all text. So, Surya, can you change the slide? This is what it looks like. In NNLP2, perhaps we are looking for identification of letters and the child's ability to associate that every picture has a word, right? And then they can track the words from left to right, right? As we move on, and then we are in NNLP3, perhaps we are associating letters with sounds. We are able to, sing the phonic drills, and then we are able to visually as well as do auditory discrimination. One letter is different from the other. One sound is different from the other. So auditory as well as visual discrimination of letters and sounds we are able to do. In NNLP4, perhaps we are able to use, we are able to read some sight words and then perhaps read words by stringing sounds like, act. Sometimes children are able to identify the sounds when we say act. They are able to do it. But when we ask them to put it all together, they struggle. So they may say act, bit, right? So there is a disconnect there. So that coding, decoding, stringing, that's another aspect. And while reading the sentences, it has to be a combination of the words which can be coded and decoded and the sight words. The words which are otherwise not phonic, right? But still, you have to read them by looking at them on regular basis, right? In grade 1, we are talking about simple sentences, right? And by the time your child is going to grade 2, we are looking for more complex sentences which have words, with letters, maybe somewhere 3 to 10 letter words, and sentences somewhere, 7 to 8 word sentences, and sometimes 10 word sentences, and sentences are compound. And then there's a lot of, nuanced punctuation that has been used, the commas, the exclamations, the question marks, right? So unless and until you, being a foundational practitioner, you're aware of this back and forth arrangement, you will continue to struggle and address differentiated learning, instruction, assessment, differentiation in entirety. You cannot take up your lesson considering the principles of equity and inclusion, right? And this is where you face that challenge. So it's like an amusement park where at entry level, there is NNLP 2, and at exit level, there is grade 2. So there's not much you can do at NNLP 2 and grade 2, right? Because it does take around 3 to 4 months to settle down your kids because they're coming from different background. And while they're moving out, you cannot stress them out with so much of burden. In unit 3 or unit 4, oh, you're about to graduate and you need to do this, you need to do that. And that's the reason, the NEP and the NCF, they talk about exit point in grade 3. Otherwise, you will make lives of children in grade 2 really, really difficult. So they give another year, like grade 3, to make up for the mistakes that we've been doing in foundation years. So they're giving so much of breather to the practitioners, right? So do you have a clear understanding? So do not worry. When you went to B.Ed school, nobody talked about differentiated instruction. Nobody talked about these milestones. So do not be upset. The education scenario, the landscape is changing. So with a growth mindset, let's learn and let's look at the macroscopic view of differentiated instruction and our ability to do these kind of assessments in the classroom, right? So we move ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. I think that is quite an insight, ma'am, that you've given us into the continuum of learning and how we should actually understand our learners in the classroom, cater to the learners on both ends of the spectrum. That's a huge task, right? And we really appreciate our educators for making all that effort. So let's just quickly give them a 2-minute stretching break, right? You're not supposed to leave. We're going to play a wonderful song for you that's going to get your feel-good endorphins, flowing through you, right? So just relax, stretch, 2 minutes, right? Listen to this song.
I messed up tonight. I lost another fight. Lost to myself, but I'll just start again. I keep falling down. I keep on hitting the ground, but I always get up now to see what's next. Birds don't just fly, they fall down and get up. Nobody learns without getting it wrong.
So I'll keep making mistakes. I'll keep trying new things. I'll keep falling, but I'll get up and try again. Right? I think that is what all of us are about. I think each educator here has that feeling. Every day we're learning, growing, learning from our mistakes. Right? So, with that, I'm sure you're all feeling very energized. Let us just take it on from here. So, Pooja ma'am, over to you again.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Anubha. Every time I listen to this song, I feel so energized and inspired, right? And I'm all set to do my new set of mistakes, right? So, having finished with, not finished exactly, having begun with language differentiated instruction, now we move on to numeracy, right? So, Surya, can you quickly move on to next slide? So this is, can you go back? Yeah. So this is the screenshot of the formative assessment and the summative assessment for an NLP4. So one thing I would like to share with you, when we design the formative assessment, we take care that the same learning goals are taken care of while designing the summative assessment. For example, if we are doing long and short, as part of the formative assessment, you will see something similar in the summative assessment, right? So see, this is your formative assessment where while you are conducting your educator reference activities, or you are showing your curriculum support software, or you are doing your course book page. If you have this end goal in mind that by the end of this week, my child will be able to differentiate between long and short. So you can use multiple ways. You can use differentiated instruction. You can engage children in real-time hands-on learning activity as a part of lesson planning. You can show them a video for those children who are, really happy to watch videos. And you can engage children in seat work who like to work, with pen and paper, right? So there are endless opportunities for you to assess these learning goals, right? So Surya, can we go back? And can we move on to the next slide? Right. So this is a formative assessment video, which I'm going to share with you. And perhaps after that, we will gain an insight into the right way of giving feedback.
So, Anubha, today I've got something very interesting for you. Can you see what this is? We've been doing this in the class. Do you know what it's called?
It's a pictograph.
Wonderful. Yes, it's a pictograph. And can you tell me what these animals are called?
So, ma'am, we have an elephant, a bear, and a monkey.
Excellent. Now, can you also tell me which fruit is their favorite?
Bananas.
Right. All three of them love to eat bananas. Now, can you tell me how many bananas did the elephant eat?
So, ma'am, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Excellent. And what about the bear? How many did he eat?
5, ma'am.
5. And the monkey?
Ma'am, 6.
6. Excellent. Now, who ate the least bananas?
Ma'am, the bear.
The bear. Okay. And who ate the most?
The elephant.
Excellent. Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
So you do love.
Okay, so we take a pause. Do you think as a practitioner, we had to sit separately with Anubha to do this assessment? Or could these assessments been done during the teaching learning process?
We'd
For
want to see a
like
thumbs up.
Anubha? For a child like Anubha? I mean, Anubha as a learner. In the last situation, we had Anubha as the learner and Anubha as the practitioner because they both have same names. Okay.
Ma'am, we are getting mixed answers. Some are saying yes. Some are saying that no, it could have been done during the teaching learning process.
Most of them, Anubha, most of them are saying that this assessment could have been done during teaching learning process.
Yes.
And, before we move on to the second part of this video, there's a question I would like to ask from each one of you. Did you notice any pattern when Anubha was giving a feedback? So she used a word excellent, excellent, excellent. So I will come back to you. and ask you whether it was appropriate or not. All right, let's watch this.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
So you do love to do pictographs, don't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Now, can you tell me what these animals are? Who are there in this pictograph?
So this is an elephant,
Okay.
this is a bear, and this is a monkey.
Monkey.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's wonderful. You were able to identify all the three animals. Now, can you tell me what is their favorite fruit?
Bananas.
Bananas. Yes, they love to eat bananas also. All right. Now, will you help me count who ate? You know, how many bananas did the monkey eat?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5. Should we try to count once more?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Stop. Okay. So do you think Surya was counting correctly? Why is Anuba asking to count again without giving any judgment whether he's right or wrong? Okay, yes, you're absolutely right. Maybe it is a possibility that Surya was not able to do one-on-one correspondence, right? So now let's see how does Anuba respond in such a situation. Let's
All
see.
right. So what we'll do is there's another very interesting activity that we are going to do today, right? Another pictograph activity because you love to do it. All right?
Yes,
Are you
ma'am.
ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, Surya, do you want to know who these children are?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. They're in your class. She's Aditi. He's Ali. This one's Edward. And this is Gurjeet.
Gurjeet.
And you know, there's one thing common about all of them.
What, ma'am?
Just like the elephants and bears and monkeys, they love to eat
Fruits.
fruits. Good. Now, can you tell me which fruit is this?
These are grapes.
And
Orange. Mango. Apple.
okay, so now I'm going to need your help. Aditi, in the last week, ate 2 oranges. Can you put them here?
1, 2.
Excellent. 1 and
2.
2. You were able to count properly. Okay. Ali loves mangoes. And in the week, he ate 5 mangoes. Can you help me place 5 mangoes over here?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, good. So you were able to count 5 mangoes and put them here correctly. Now, Edward, his favorite fruit are apples. And he ate 4 of them.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Great. And guess what Gurjeet likes? What do you think she likes? It's
Grapes.
Ah, you guessed that correctly. Okay. And over the week, she ate 2 bunches of grapes.
1, 2.
Wonderful. You've done all of this correctly. So you've helped me make the pictograph. Now let's look at this pictograph. Can you tell me who ate the most fruits? He is
Ali.
Ali, right. Ali ate the most fruits. How many did he eat?
5. 5 mangoes.
Good. And who ate the same number? Can you tell me 2 people who ate the same number of fruits?
Aditi
Aditi,
and
Gurjeet.
Gurjeet.
Wonderful. And how many did they eat?
2.
Aditi ate
2.
2 and
One.
Gurjeet.
2.
You were able to identify this correctly too. Very good. Okay, now can you tell me one more thing? Who ate more fruits? Ali or Edward?
Ali.
Ali, right. And how can we say that they ate more fruits? Can you show me how?
apples and here, but mangoes and here. So there are
Excellent.
more mangoes.
Wonderful. So, as you can see, we have more
Mangoes.
mangoes. Apples, mangoes. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Wonderful. You were able to count. You were able to compare.
Thank
That's
you, ma'am.
good, Surya.
All right. So I have few questions for each one of you. So did you observe a difference in the feedback pattern? In the earlier exercise, it was full of excellent. And here, the feedback was very, very specific and action oriented, right? Secondly, without making Surya, feel bad about what he or she was not, in his case, he was not able to do well, Anubha quickly switched over by doing task analysis because she's well aware of CRA model of mathematics, right? Concrete, representational, and abstract. When Anubha was asking Surya by showing the picture, that was the representational aspect or the pictorial aspect, and Surya was not comfortable with that. So she moved backwards. So it was a differentiated assessment. So she made use of concrete objects. So first child learns using concrete objects, then pictures, and then abstract. So this was another aspect. And also she used multiple ways to help him compare. So she said this one and this one, right? In terms of the space, one-on-one correspondence, right? So because she could identify that Surya had challenges in one-on-one correspondence or comparing quantities and numbers, therefore she used multiple approaches to scaffold Surya. But by the end of the exercise, do you think Surya was able to meet or accomplish the learning outcomes? Maybe the path was little longer, but then for a boy like Surya, it was required for Anubha to sit down and do one-on-one for formative assessment, right? But for the other child, Anubha, the younger Anubha, she could have done it during, teaching learning process itself, right? But if she felt that Anubha did not feel challenged, then perhaps what could she have done? So that is another question, because Anubha could be a child who is wanting more challenge. So we will look into this
So
aspect.
maybe as a practitioner, ma'am, I could have taken her to the next level, right?
But what's that next level? We'll talk about it. All right.
Yes.
So right now, I want each one of you to focus on the significance of right kind of feedback. We don't have to praise the child. We have to praise the process. Can we move to, yeah, right? When Anubha was giving feedback, she was using the evidence, right? She could see that, while doing that pictograph activity, Surya could not do one-on-one correspondence. So she was trying to find out what Surya could do and what Surya could not do, right? And with the help of what Surya could do, she brought him to a level what he could not do, right? And then her feedback was immediate. Immediately, she decided that she will do backward integration and use concrete objects. And she was completely in control and aligned with the classroom learning goals that I want my child to be able to do one-on-one correspondence, maybe differentiate between more and less, identify same numbers, whatever learning goals she had in her mind. And at the same time, she was constantly monitoring, and she was constantly encouraging, right? So when the child feels controlled or monitored, then sometimes, the child may feel threatened and may not take feedback positively. But the way Anubha was giving feedback, Surya was very open and he was trying, right? So this is what the research says, that if your feedback is based on the evidence, if your feedback is immediate, if your feedback is aligned with the learning goals. When Anubha said that you could count, you could compare, so she made the feedback very, very measurable. When Anubha said excellent, child did not know what she was giving feedback for, right? So now you understand the significance of feedback, right? So we go ahead. All right, so there's another feedback which I captured, in one of the classrooms. This is for a grade 1 learner, where a teacher or a practitioner is making a grade 1 learner read. And when the grade 1 learner is reading appropriately, how she is drawing attention to the nuances of punctuation. Let's see that.
On Tuesday, he saw 8 blue apples.
Well done, I like that. Do you know what I like about it? I can see you've used a capital letter to start your sentence. Well done. You've used a full stop at the end of your sentence. I love that. And apples. Can you find that word anywhere else on the page? Yes, if I give you my pen, do you want to have another go there at writing the word apples for me?
Right? So sometimes we tend to ignore celebrating the wins of the learners, and we do not draw their attention to the aspects which are happening right. We focus on aspects which are not happening right, but we do not celebrate the aspects which are happening correctly. So there what did the practitioner say? She said, see, you were mindful of the uppercase, or you were mindful of the full stop, right? So this is the power of feedback. And if there is another child who's sitting with this child, perhaps that child is also picking up, and that's called positive reinforcement. So instead of exposing child to negative reinforcement and telling him or her what he or she is not able to do, appreciating another child for doing something which is correct will inspire or motivate the child to do in the similar manner, right? Can we move
On
Okay. So when we say feedback, so feedback again needs to be evidence-based, immediate, aligned with learning goals, and way forward to make adjustments, right? What do you think may happen if the feedback is not immediate? Can we move on to the next slide? Learners may continue to do the same thing incorrectly, right? Take an example of an NLP3 learner, and you asked your learner to make letter E. But you did not give a feedback immediate feedback. All right, so the child did not make the letter correctly, and you collected the notebooks and you said, so much of work, I have to do so many corrections. Instead, you could have taken the round, around the learners and corrected there and then. It would have saved you from all the burden of taking your books back home and then correcting them, right? And if you give the feedback next day, it doesn't really mean anything to them. I mean, they feel disengaged. And also sometimes they take it very poorly. Ma'am is always complaining. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. So child doesn't feel motivated enough, right? So the feedback has to be immediate, and we will have to understand that while children are doing their course book work, especially in foundation years, it's important to give immediate feedback. Yes, Anubha.
Pooja ma'am, there were a few of our participants asked that we try to do it like this, but the challenge comes because we have 26 or 30 students. It's a big class. How do we do it like that with all learners? So I thought maybe you can address that over here.
Yes. So that's the power of right kind of instructions. I tell them, okay, so everybody is going to write letter E and then pencil down. Okay. So ma'am will come around and give you a smiley. And together we will figure out if we are on the right path. Okay. And then ma'am will say, go ahead. And then we all can start working on it. So it's the power of right kind of instruction, right kind of wait time, and right kind of culture and routine that we set in the class. So you explain this in the beginning of the session. That's how we work in our class. You make it part of your routine or your regime, and the child begins to embrace it.
Also, ma'am,
Is it my network?
when we are doing a formative assessment, if the children, if there are 10 out of my 25 who've been able to do this in the classroom, do I need to do it separately with them? Not at all. Can you hear
Anubha,
me?
I have a question. Is there any problem with my network? Is there a problem with my network?
No, ma'am. Your network is fine. Absolutely.
Practitioners, are you facing any problem with the network or is it fine? Give me a thumbs up.
We can hear you, ma'am.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody was frozen in front of me, so I was slightly worried.
No.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Fine,
Maybe for a
fine,
second
fine.
you may have had a glitch, ma'am. But I was also asking you, like we were discussing yesterday, that if we have a class of 25 and we are doing a pictograph, there are 5 children who are facing trouble. The others can do it. I do not need to do it individually with the other 20, right? And I can bring these children in pairs or groups and
Not at all, not at all.
Absolutely.
Yes. Then we will talk about, peer assessment also. So, Anubha, how did you know that we are going to talk about peer assessment? All right. So we'll move ahead.
Okay.
All right. So this is, a statement made by Dr. Carol Dweck. So she has worked extensively on growth mindset. And in her research, she writes that praising children for their intelligence is very, very damaging for their growth and development. She says, if we praise the child for the action or the process, child is confident and succeeds better. However, if we convey this feeling to children that you can't do because you're not good enough, or not all children can do everything.
So had I
that
told
is the
Surya that, ma'am? Had I told Surya
no, but
that?
that's the downside, Anubha. That's the downside of thinking that we should not be pressurizing children. We should not get confused. Okay, pressurizing is different from setting high benchmarks, which are specific to every child at individual level, right? So we as practitioners are not supposed to be giving this message to children that not all children can do everything, because these are the formative years. Let them try enough. Let them demonstrate resilience before we come to this conclusion that maybe this is not the task which is meant for me. Right? So I think all the practitioners who are sitting here, when you go back to your classrooms, you will refrain yourself from words like excellent, what Anubha ma'am used, or great job. Along with great job, you will have to give an explanation. What made that action great? What specific, initiative made that job wonderful, right? So we move ahead. So coming back to this CRA model, are you all aware of CRA model? I would like to know how many of you are very, very comfortable with CRA model, because this is what Anubha did while she was interacting with Surya. Right.
Ma'am, they're writing that they are comfortable. They
All
know.
right. So we will do a quick brush up for those practitioners who may not be knowing. So while Anubha was doing this pictograph activity, so it was in representational stage, doing pictures. For scaffolding, she had to go back to concrete stage. And for giving more challenge, we need to go to abstract stage, right? So we have to take care of the children on both the sides of the spectrum. So we'll just not limit our focus to scaffolding. we will perhaps expand our horizons and try to reach out to children who need additional, challenge or rush of adrenaline, what Anubha says.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So we can move ahead. So this was all about kindergarten, but yes, it's not easy to be a foundational years practitioner. So it's more challenging than being a grade 10 or a grade 12 practitioner. There, your goals are different. Your children, they're more concerned about their career and they are more focused. Here, perhaps they are exploring the endless possibilities that lie, ahead of them. And we as practitioners, we will have to help them. So I will show you another video. So Surya, can we go straight away to the video? Right, yeah.
So what we have here in front of you, can you see you've got a worksheet in front of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now listen carefully. There is a mix of addition and subtraction sums in that worksheet. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Now, are there 5 or more than 5 over there? Can you quickly just look at it and tell me?
More
12.
than 5, ma'am.
More than 5. Surya says there are 12. Great. Now, I am going to, when I say start, from that time you can start solving it. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to solve it. Right? And in those 5 minutes, you have to solve at least 5. How many?
At least
At least 5. Now, does that mean that if you have time and you want to solve more, you can?
Yes, ma'am.
How many of you want to try that? Good. So your time begins now. Five minutes are over. Surya, how many were you able to do?
5.
Good. Nice. So you could do 5 sums. That's good. What about you, Anubha?
Ma'am, I did 7, ma'am.
So you worked quickly. Now, that's also very good. Let's see how many we have correct answers, right? But we'll not check our own. We're going to exchange our worksheets with our partners, right? So, Surya, will you give your sheet to Anubha? Good. Now, what am I going to do? Listen carefully. Okay. I am going to share the correct answer. I'm going to tell you what the sum was. I'm going to share the correct answer. If your partner has it right, what will you put over there?
Check.
A check. And if your partner didn't have the right answer, what will you do?
A circle.
A circle. Yes, you can circle it so that your partner can go back and look at it. Okay, everyone ready? Okay, so the first one is 8 plus 1. It is, answer is 9.
Yes.
Okay, have your partners got it right? Let me see.
Yes, ma'am.
Good, so the whole class knows how to add. All right, now the second one, 9 minus 3. The answer is 6. Okay, now let me see. Has your partner got it right? Surya, your partner hasn't got it right.
No, ma'am.
Okay, what answer did she write?
7.
And why do you say it's incorrect? Can you explain to her how to do this?
Yes.
Sum correctly?
The answer will be 6. How? I made 9 dots and I cut 3 of them and then I counted the remaining dots.
Ooh.
And what did you do, Anubha, to get the
Ma'am,
answer?
I took out 9 fingers and took 3 away. So I got the answer 7 because I did not take my thumb inside.
Good. So you now know where you make the mistake. Now let's move on. Pooja ma'am, you're muted.
Yeah, so a question for each one of you. So which stage of CRA is Surya demonstrating? He said that he made dots.
And we had a lot of answers. We can make standing lines. We can keep, the bigger number in the mind, and a lot of suggestions coming.
Right. Okay, concrete. All right. Okay, so why do you think it's concrete and why not pictorial when he made dots?
Representational. The
Representation.
CRA, the representational.
All right. Okay. Okay. So now another question. Do you think it is a good idea to engage, peers in this kind of assessment? And what do you think was happening? Were they thinking their strategies aloud? And they were two learners and doing things differently. Perhaps Surya had a different way of approaching the problem and Anuba had a different way. So they discussed, and also we can help them derive which was a better approach if the goal was speed and accuracy. Do you understand? Not only accuracy, but speed is also the goal, right? So if you're driven by the goal, then perhaps they can brainstorm together. And then let's see which 5 strands of mathematics are being
So
used.
what we have here.
Right. Anupama ma'am, did you say something? Did you miss anything?
No, ma'am, the video played again.
All right. All right. So can we move back? Right. So when we talk about peers' perspective, so Anubha must have thought, what is it that Surya is doing differently? And what is it that Surya is doing in this similar manner? And what is it that Surya needs to change or adapt or learn from me? And what is it that I need to change, adapt, and learn from Surya? Right? And this is the 21st century skill where the children demonstrate mental flexibility. Right? They modify their responses based on the feedback of their peers. So that is part of PSED also. There's social skills also, and being open to learning, being open to taking feedback from each other, right? So Surya, we can move ahead. So these are the 5 strands of mathematics. Either, you may be a kindergarten practitioner or a grade 1 and 2. And even if you're a grade 3 to 5 or 6 to 8 practitioner, you cannot bypass these 5 strands of mathematics. And this is what, NEP and NCF, they've been talking about. It's about disposition, strategic competence,
Yes.
and your adaptive reasoning in mathematics, which is more important. Just procedural fluency would not be enough, for which we give endless drill and practice to children, right? Because what we are working upon is the procedural fluency. They're practicing again and again and again. So it becomes part of the procedure, a drill. So how we can integrate all these 5 strands of mathematics in whatever we do, and whichever grade practitioner we are, we'll just see. So can we move ahead? Right. So this, an exercise, this is an exercise which we've taken from grade 1. And let me just enlarge it for myself so that I can help you interpret it. Yes. So we begin with a real life connection, right? Children relate with Diwali, festival, winning a toy, playing hoopla. So we have given a real life situation, and the child is expected to identify the big number or the small number. Okay. So if I talk about conceptual understanding, don't you think as a math practitioner, first you would like to know if children know the place value of every digit in a 3-digit number? So shouldn't the teacher be asking, okay, children, before we start, can anyone remind us what hundreds, tens, and ones are? So we are reviewing the place value.
Yes.
Then perhaps the practitioner can say, when we compare numbers, which place do we look at first, right? And if they are same, what do we do next, right? So that's the conceptual understanding. Moving on to strategic competence, I tell Surya to work with Anubha and try to figure out which is the best way to find the bigger number. Do you get that? what I demonstrated through that video.
The fastest way, the most.
Yeah. Right. So Surya used putting dots and Anubha used subitization or use of fingers.
So Pooja ma'am, as an educator also over there, I could have helped them see. So how many could Anubha do and how many could you do?
Right,
So
right.
can you
And-
learn something, from
And why could Surya do it quickly?
Yeah.
Perhaps maybe his method was quicker, right? And then we ask Surya and Anubha to talk to each other and figure out which strategy would work best in that particular situation. Now I come to procedural fluency. So I tell them once you've identified which is bigger number or smaller number, you have to circle it. But you will have to explain why you are circling this particular number, right? So that will be a demonstration of your procedural fluency. Then adaptive reasoning, right? So you perhaps switch your papers and then try to find out how things are being done differently and you embrace that, right? So if you find a mistake, something done differently, you talk to them about it. And maybe you can explain to them why their answer is not right. Right? So that is adaptive reasoning, taking feedback and then making changes in our schema, our mental structures. The last but not the least is the productive disposition. So the teacher says, that's okay. Even Surya did it correctly. So Anubha, you approached it differently and Surya approached it differently. Maths is all about figuring things out, right? And remember, working with a partner helps you think better. Listen to each other's idea and be respectful, right? So that is the productive disposition that we are trying to develop at an early age. Because when we have these students who've been exposed to that typical conventional education system, they face a lot of challenge in taking the feedback constructively, collaborating together, synergizing and learning from each other. So with this simple exercise and dear educator instruction, these are the aspects of mathematical thinking and mathematical process that we have covered.
And ma'am, they also develop the problem solving skill that we were talking about.
Yes. The problem solving skill, the feedback, the self assessment, the peer assessment, everything is happening side by side, right? So can we move ahead? So what do you think self assessment entails? What do you think is metacognition? Thinking about my thinking. So when they exchanged ideas, they were forced to think about their own thinking because they had to critically evaluate which idea is better. Oh, I knew this, but I did not know this. I put in a lot of effort. Oh, I did not put in a lot of effort. So how about having a scale which helps the child find out the level of effort he or she made? Okay, I didn't do my work. My effort level was 1. I put little effort. Some of my work is complete, right? I put in all my effort, but I did not ask questions. I did not understand the task completely. Oh, I did my work. I understood the task. I paced myself through my work. I understand the task, but still I have few questions, right? So if you make it visible to the children, very, very specifically, they will begin to understand where the challenge lies and how they can utilize their strengths to perform better.
And we
go
need to
back?
give them the words, ma'am, also to exactly express
back.
themselves.
Right. So can we go back? No. Yeah. And persistence. So persistence that I will not give up. So what if I couldn't do it? I'll continue to try. So persevere and being consistent. And that's how the word persistence is made, that I'll continue to try. And being open to continuous learning. I'm open to feedback and I make changes to do better than before, right? So when Surya and Anubha, they were interacting, they were open to feedback. because that's the kind of culture that we are building in school. Culture of constructive feedback. And that culture is built by the practitioners in their respective classrooms, right? And all this is based on, research done by Dr. Kalik. And, she writes about this in her book on 16 habits of minds across the curriculum. And these are 3 of them. Okay. So we'll continue to share more habits. So Surya, we'll move ahead. So we'll watch this small video from Dr. Kellick to understand what her approach looks like.
Persisting? What does that mean?
Persisting means finding ways to keep going to reach your goal.
And to keep trying, even if something is very hard to do.
It means not quitting, no matter what.
So when I think about persisting, particularly when I'm thinking about it for young children, I really think about the idea of how difficult it is to stick with something. And that's not just true for young children. I have a problem sometimes persisting as well. But what I watch is the teachers are frustrated sometimes when the kids don't persist. Instead of allowing them to really stick with something when it's tough, they do it for them. So the young child who can't tie his shoes, well, now we have Velcro so we don't have to worry. But before that, when we had to tie our shoes, we had to stick with it and really learn how to do it. So it becomes very, very important. And of course, this is a life skill. It's a skill that kids are going to use and need for the rest of their lives. To be able to persist, to be able to stick with it, to do it when the going gets tough. That's what really matters, and kids will learn that.
Move it. Yeah. So that is the power of persistence. And as practitioners, first we will have to demonstrate that skill before we begin to expect the same from the learners, right? And when we talk about peer assessment, what we are trying to build is yet another skill or habit is like managing impulsivity, that we have to use appropriate words to give feedback. And we need to communicate with clarity and precision. There is this child and who comes and tells a practitioner, everybody is bothering me in the classroom. So teacher says, who is this everybody? Can you name it? Are all 30 learners bothering you, or are they specific to learners? And what do you mean by bothering you? Are they taking your belongings without your permission, or are they pushing you, or are they harming you? So unless and until we think and communicate with clarity and precision, we cannot find solutions. And thinking interdependently, when we come together and then think with others, this is what makes you ready for tomorrow. That's again another 21st century skill, where you say, I'm willing to work with others, I'm ready to understand how I can do better. And the feedback, the peer assessment feedback, which Anubha captured when she walked into one of the classrooms, we would like to quickly show that video as it's time to wrap up. Yes. So Surya, you help us keep track
All
of
right.
that.
So Shania and Libby, we're going to take a look at Libby's piece. We're going to do some peer assessment. And Shania's going to help Libby to see if she has everything that she needs. So Shania, what's she going to look for first?
A topic sentence.
Okay, Libby. So read your piece and then highlight, prove to her that you have a topic sentence.
These are some things I know about dolphins.
Do you consider that a topic sentence, Shania? All right. Go ahead. Tell her what she needs next.
They are mammals. There's no such thing as seven. They can jump 20 feet. They eat fish, squid, octopus, and shrimp. A dolphin live in groups
dolphin calves stay with their mothers.
Anuba, the audio is not clear because it's a video which has been recorded in a real classroom.
Real classroom.
Yeah, so here a girl is giving a feedback for beginning, middle, and ending of a story, right? And she is giving this feedback that this is how the story began with a title, and this is where your beginning, middle was, and you did not include an ending. So next time when you submit, please reread what you have written, and this will help you. So this is what she is, sharing with her partner. All right, so we can move ahead. And also we will have to give the right vocabulary, right prompts to our children to be able to give the, feedback clearly, right? And also we will put the feedback criteria into 3 categories. One, you have to train the children to first identify what went well and what can go better if you do this particular thing and what is the way forward. And that's how we give feedback to everybody. Your strengths, your challenges and opportunities. But whatever we've been doing, unless and until we document, it's a futile exercise. So tomorrow we are going to talk about evidence for learning and data collection. So with this, we are creating some sense of intrigue. So you know what is it that you can look forward to in tomorrow's session. And we will also be talking about success criteria. What success looks like. So we will be talking about this. And then that's how you need to summarize your day also with your children so that they look forward to what is going to happen in the next class. Can we move ahead? And with this, it's time to give your feedback and share your takeaways. So Surya will also share the link in the chat window. I think he has. And you can also scan the QR code.
Then, ma'am, I would want to add something over here. The school heads and all have been sharing that they would want their practitioners and the participants to get certificates because they're putting in such a lot of effort. But, participants, we really want to know exactly how much you've understood and the effort you're putting in. So I think, your takeaways are going to be very important for us. We are requesting you to ensure that you fill in these takeaways, seriously and give that to us.
Right. So Anubhav, with that, it's difficult to say bye. That's always painful. But then all good things come to an end, and we look forward to having a great interaction with you tomorrow.
Right. Looking forward to meeting you all. Bye-bye. Please submit your takeaways. As usual, they'll be also shared on your WhatsApp group. So see you tomorrow.
There's a place, your heart, and I know that it is love. And this place will be much brighter than tomorrow. And if you really try, you'll find there's no need to cry. In this place, you'll feel there's no hurt or sorrow. There are ways to get there if you care enough for the living. Make a little space, make a better place. Heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying if you care enough for the living. Make a better place for you and for me. If you want to know why, there's a love that can is strong, only cares for joyful giving. And if we try, we shall see. In this bliss we cannot feel fear or dread. We stop existing and start living. Then it feels that with love, not grudge growing. So make a better world. Make a better world. Build the world. Make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me. And the dream we were conceived in will reveal a joyful face. And the world we once believed in will stand again in grace. Then why do we keep strangling life when this earth crucified the soul? That was plain to see this was heavenly. Save this world so precious, so blessed and so dear. Protect its beauty and splendor, don't let that disappear. Preserve our animals and plants and humankind as well, so that our future generations can have a story to tell. Protect us from evil and spread the word of good, of peace, love, justice, virtue and brotherhood. Cause we only have one earth and we can't waste our motherland. So let's move as one force. I think it's time to take a stand. We could fly so high and let our spirits never die. In my heart, I feel you are all my brothers. Create a world with no fear. Together we'll cry happy tears. Watch a nation turn their swords into plowshares. We could